The end times are a distant event, or have they already begun before our very eyes? Observe the signs. They are everywhere, not just in the heavens, but within us. History is moving toward a point of no return, and every beat of time seems to echo the same message. God's clock is ticking. The book of Revelation is not a forgotten prophecy. It is a map being fulfilled before blind humanity, a code revealed to those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. The trumpets are already sounding, discreet but unmistakable. The air vibrates with something few understand. The end is not merely the termination of an era, but the full revelation of truth. Jerusalem, the eternal city, rests beneath heavy skies, as if the firmament itself awaited the final touch. The mountains echo sounds that do not come from earth, trumpets that vibrate like distant thunder. Men and women raise their eyes, feeling the cold of time closing in. It is the beginning of the end, and no one can pretend not to notice any longer. Something is changing in the world. Wars, plagues, famine, despair. But all these are shadows of what has been foretold. With each generation, the signs align again. And now, more than ever, they seem to cry out from the heights of Scripture. The hour has come. Revelation is not a book of fear. It is a book of revelation. It speaks not only of destruction, but of exposure. All that was hidden will be revealed. All that was secret will be brought to light. The white throne awaits, and the books, still closed, already tremble to be opened. Imagine the sky splitting in two, a curtain being torn between what is earthly and what is eternal. Angels and shadows crossing dimensions, as if the universe itself were breathing harder. Humanity watches, lost between faith and disbelief. And in this silence, a sound vibrates. The sound of the trumpets of the apocalypse. Each note announces the unfolding of a prophecy written before its time. John saw. He contemplated the end and described it not as terror, but as an unveiling. He saw the Lamb break the seals. He saw the forces of heaven and earth clash. He saw human destiny written and rewritten in the hands of the Eternal. The prophecy speaks not of destruction, but of revelation. The revelation of who we truly are when the veil is lifted. And perhaps, without realizing it, we are already living through the beginning of this revelation, when the world is divided into darkness and light, when truth is distorted and chaos seems more natural than peace, when men become cold and love fades. All this is not by chance. It is fulfillment. It is the exact sequence of what was described in Patmos. The big question is, are we prepared to see what John saw? Because the apocalypse is not just a cosmic event, it's a spiritual mirror. What happens in heaven reflects what occurs in the human soul. The trumpets sound outside, but the real roar echoes within. Each broken seal on the divine throne corresponds to a crack in the heart of humanity. The skies darken, and the line between worlds dissolves. Some say you can already feel the weight of time bending. What prophetic dreams and visions are returning? That the present generation bears the mark of the final chapter. Apocalypse is not the future. It is the present awakening. Can you feel it? The tides have turned. The wind blows with a different force. There's something in the atmosphere, something that science cannot measure and man cannot control. The same silence that precedes the thunder, the same premonition that made the prophets tremble. It's the beginning of the end, but the end as revelation, not as ruin. The question echoes once more. Is the world's fate sealed, or is there still room for redemption? John's vision was not delivered as condemnation, but as a warning. Each broken seal is a warning. Each trumpet is a call. Each beast, each fallen star, each spiritual earthquake, all point to a single purpose, to awaken those who sleep. Because while some fear the end, others await it. The apocalypse does not destroy. It exposes. It reveals the righteous and unmasks the false. It is the fire that purifies the gold. It is the judgment that separates light and darkness, and time, that river that flows from Eden, now begins to narrow, leading each soul toward the final encounter. But there is something deeper that few realize. Revelation also speaks of choice. Even at the height of chaos, there is free will. Even when the world collapses, there is an invitation. John saw wrath, yes, but he also saw grace. Amidst thunder and flames, a voice said, "There is still time." This is the hidden truth at the heart of the revelation. The end is merely the gateway to decision. Humanity walks on a thin bridge between judgment and hope. Every act, every thought, weighs on the cosmic scales. What we do now echoes in eternity. When the book is opened, there will be no surprises, only revelation. Each one will see what they have built with the time they have been given. And perhaps that's the most dreaded part, realizing that judgment doesn't come from the outside, but from within. That the white throne is erected not only in the heavens, but in the conscience of each one. That the trumpets sound not only the clouds, but the hearts that resist the truth. The visions intensify, the world trembles, but few understand. Politics, wars, natural disasters, it's all part of an ancient script. The apocalypse is not senseless chaos. It is divine order revealing what needs to be exposed. With each disaster, the Creator calls humanity back to spiritual reality. While humanity drowns in technology and distraction, the prophecy is fulfilled in silence. And when the last seal is broken, there will be no turning back. The kingdoms of the earth will fall before the sovereignty of the eternal. Human power will bow before absolute power. And every voice will acknowledge the truth. Nothing can stop the divine plan. But before the total end, there is a moment of decision, a final call, a window of grace before judgment is complete. And perhaps that moment is now. The trumpets are already sounding, the winds are already stirring, the stars are already tilting. The clock is marking the final cycle. And humanity, distracted, doesn't even realize that the stage is being set for the final outcome. The apocalypse is the mirror that reflects the true state of the world. It shows what man has done with the gift of creation. It shows the price of greed, idolatry, and indifference. It shows the abyss between what we were created to be and what we have become. But it also shows something greater, the mercy that still shines amidst the ruins. Jerusalem still stands, but its spiritual walls are cracking. The heavenly forces watch, and the silence of the heavens seems to foreshadow movement. When the Lamb opens the final seal, human history will reach its climax, and every soul will be called to bear witness. The apocalypse is not about destruction, it's about revelation. Revelation of what is eternal, what is pure, what is true. The end of days is the beginning of eternity. The fire that consumes also illuminates. The throne that judges also redeems, and in the midst of the storm a voice still echoes, "He who has ears to hear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the nations." So look around, see what the world has become, and ask yourself, is the end coming, or has it already begun? Because perhaps the apocalypse isn't tomorrow, perhaps it's already happening now, inside each one of us. Now, before we move on to the next chapter of this revelation, leave your comment. Write what you see in the signs of the times. Give it a like so that more souls may awaken, and prepare yourselves, because what comes next will reveal the true conflict of the end times. John's visions begin to unfold like ancient wounds, reopening before time. The first seal is broken and the world trembles. A white horse appears, gleaming like lightning, bringing the conqueror. His crown shines with power, but his gaze reveals ambition. It is not peace he brings, but dominion. Humanity applauds him, blinded by the allure of power. It is the beginning of the end, and few realize that judgment has begun. The second seal is broken, and the sound of metal resounds in the depths. A red horse appears, and with it the sword of war. Nations rise up against one another. Blood cries out from the earth, and the cries of the innocent echo in the heavens. It is earthly chaos reflecting spiritual chaos. Man destroys what he was called to guard, and the earth groans under the weight of his own violence. The third seal is broken. The black horse advances. In its hands, a scale, a symbol of judgment and scarcity. Wheat and barley become unattainable treasures. Gold loses its value in the face of famine. The world is weighed and found wanting. Spiritual injustice takes shape in the body of the earth. The economy of the ego collapses, and man realizes that the bread that sustains the soul is more precious than gold. Then the fourth seal is broken, and the silence is shattered. A pale horse emerges. The one who rides it is death, and hell follows. There are no borders, no walls, no empires that can withstand it. Plague, war, and famine unite in a deadly dance. Humanity is confronted with its own creation. What man has sown, he now reaps. John trembles before the vision. He sees not only destruction, he sees mirrors. Each horse, each plague, each trumpet is a reflection of an inner truth. The apocalypse does not begin in the heavens, but in the human heart. The white throne is erected in the conscience, and each broken seal is a part of the soul exposed. The fifth seal reveals the martyrs. Beneath the altar, voices cry out, "How long, Lord, until you judge?" They are the souls of the righteous, wounded by the world, forgotten by men. Their garments are white, a symbol of eternal purity. They wait, not with anger, but with justice. The time of judgment has not yet come, and even in suffering they keep the faith. Then the sixth seal is opened. And what John sees, no man could bear without falling to his knees. The sun becomes black as sackcloth. The moon turns to blood. The stars fall like flaming torches. The sky rolls up like an ancient scroll. All creation bows before the Creator. Kings, mighty men, and servants all hide in caves, crying out to the mountains to cover them with the face of the Lamb. But there is no hiding place. For the great day of wrath has come, and who can stand? And in this terror, John perceives something deeper. The apocalypse is not vengeance, it is purification. The chaos that destroys the world is the same chaos that reveals the heart. Man is tested in the fire. What is false dissolves. What is true shines forth. Amidst the thunder and lightning, 7 trumpets are delivered to the angels. Each brings a revelation, a blow upon the earth and upon the spirit. When the first sounds, fire and blood fall upon the ground. Nature responds to human sin. The second trumpet strikes the sea. A third of the waters is transformed into death. The third falls upon the rivers. Bitterness takes the place of purity. The fourth shakes the sun and the stars. Light becomes darkness. But the fifth trumpet is different. It sounds the abyss, and smoke rises from it, like from a furnace. Dark creatures with forms that defy the mind spread throughout the world. They do not kill, but they torment. They are the reflections of human guilt itself, fears that take shape, inner shadows projected onto the earth. Man is wounded by what he himself has created. When the sixth trumpet sounds, 4 angels are released on the Euphrates. Their hosts sweep across humanity, and a third of it is consumed. The world falls into despair. Faith wavers. Science tries to explain, but the inexplicable prevails. And yet, says John, men did not repent. Then silence, a silence that weighs like eternity, and the 7th seal is opened. The whole sky stops. For half a minute of eternity, nothing moves. Not angels, not light. The Creator observes. And in that silence, John understands. The apocalypse is the breath of God before the final word. The visions become more intense. The beast emerges from the sea, with 7 heads and 10 horns. It carries power and deceit. Its words seduce. Its promises feed pride. The world worships it, unaware that it serves darkness. A second beast rises from the earth, with the appearance of a lamb, but the voice of a dragon. It speaks in the name of God, but acts against him. And so the deception is complete. Humanity bows before the false Messiah. The mark is imposed, not like iron, but as a choice. The number is not a tattoo, but submission. The mark of the beast is spiritual before it is physical. It is the mark of the ego, of pride, of love for the world above truth. And while men pride themselves on their progress, the abyss opens beneath their feet. But John also sees the remnant. Those who resist, even under persecution, men and women who do not bend their knees to the system. Their faces reflect the light of the Lamb. They are few, but sufficient. Revelation is judgment, but also separation. It is the moment when the wheat and the tares are distinguished. Among the visions, John beholds the Lamb on Mount Zion. Around him, 144,000 sing a new song. No one else can learn this song. It belongs only to those who have been purified in the fire of faith. This vision is the counterpoint to suffering. While the world dissolves, the eternal kingdom rises. Then an angel crosses the heavens, announcing the eternal gospel. Another proclaims the fall of Great Babylon, a symbol of corrupted human power, and a third declares, "Whoever worships the beast will drink of God's wrath." The world reaches the pinnacle of choice. It is the point where humanity decides whom it serves, the creator or the creature. The bowls of wrath are poured out. The sea turns to blood. The sun burns with deadly intensity. Darkness falls upon the throne of the beast. The Euphrates River dries up, preparing the way for the kings of the east. And upon the earth gathers the final army, Armageddon. John sees the armies of the world marching under the command of the beast. But from heaven arises the faithful and true rider. His name is the Word of God. His eyes are like fire, and from his mouth comes a sharp sword. He judges and wages war with justice. His armies follow, clothed in white linen. It is the final convergence, human power against eternal power. The dragon is cast into the abyss. The beast and the false prophet are consumed, and the world, shrouded in darkness, sees a new light tearing across the horizon. But the apocalypse is not yet over. Because before the new heaven and the new earth, there is the white throne. John sees the dead, great and small, before God. Books are opened, and another book, the book of life. Each one is judged according to their deeds. The sea gives up its dead, the earth gives up its own, and death is cast into the lake of fire. The cycle is complete. In the external chaos, John recognizes the inner mirror. The apocalypse is not only the end of the world, but the end of the self. The ego, pride, fear, everything that does not belong to the light is consumed. And when the last seal is broken within the soul, man awakens. What was destruction becomes revelation. What was fire becomes purification. What was the end becomes the beginning. Because the apocalypse at its core speaks not only of the death of the earth, but of the birth of the new man, the one who sees eternity and understands that true judgment is the awakening of consciousness before divine glory. The sound of the last trumpet echoes through the universe like an open wound in time. The sky tears open in light and thunder. The firmament, once silent, bows before the splendor of the white throne. Nothing compares to that instant, neither the birth of the stars nor the fall of kingdoms. Everything that exists, everything that breathed, everything that was forgotten awakens before the presence of God. The sea returns the dead, and the earth liberates those it held. The dust recomposes itself into flesh, and the eyes that once closed see again. The entire creation moves like a symphony of judgment. No human sound dares to mingle, only the distant sound of trumpets and the pulse of the universe before the truth. The throne rises above flames that do not burn, but reveal. A pure fire, without fury, without ego, only justice. Before it, the angels prostrate themselves, and even eternity itself remains silent. And John sees. He sees the books being opened. Immense pages, written with light and shadow. Each line is a memory, each stroke an action, each word a destiny. No act is lost, no intention is ignored. What was done in secret now shines like lightning before the Creator's gaze. Those who lied find themselves naked before the truth. Those who judged are judged. Those who loved are loved. The divine scales appear in the center of the throne. They are not made of gold or iron, but of time and eternity. On one side, the weight of human deeds. On the other, grace, the blood of the Lamb, shed upon destiny. And John understands, judgment is not vengeance, it is balance. The fire that consumes is the same that purifies. The same that destroys lies reveals the gold hidden in the heart. The first name is called, the air grows heavy, a soul approaches, shrouded in shadows and memories. Its hands tremble, its eyes seek escape, but there is no escape. The book of its life opens. Images are projected onto the firmament, moments, choices, words. Every second lived transforms into light. Nothing is forgotten, not the tears shed in secret, nor the sins committed in silence. And then the divine fire touches the pages. The lies crumble like ashes. What remains is the truth. A spark of repentance shines, and the Lamb extends his hand. Justice does not extinguish, it transforms. The soul, once in darkness, is cleansed by the light. Judgment is not annihilation, it is restoration. But there are also those who harden their hearts. Those who look at the light and reject it. Their own words become chains, their actions consume them. John sees the horror of those who refuse redemption. The fire that purifies for some is torment for others. Because judgment does not create hell, it only reveals it. It was already inside, waiting to be exposed. The crowds move before the throne, kings, beggars, prophets, and tyrants. No one is too great to escape God's gaze. No one is too small to be forgotten. The judgment is universal. Time finally bows before eternity. John observes the Lamb in the center of the light. His eyes are living fire. In him there is mercy and justice, love and power. He does not speak with words, but with presence. His voice is thunder and breeze at the same time. And beside him, the books continue to open, the book of life, the record of the chosen, the testimony of those who endured to the end. Angels record what is said, others collect the tears that fall, human tears, celestial tears. Because judgment is not merely sentencing, it is revelation. It is the moment when all that was created understands its role in the grand fabric of existence. And then John sees the throne expand. Space bends, time dissolves. All of creation is drawn to the center of the light. There is no boundary between heaven and earth. The white throne is everywhere. It is the center of everything. And from it, a river of fire flows, not to destroy, but to purify. The angels cry out, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord, who was, who is, and who is to come." The vibration traverses worlds. The stars bow down, the planets spin in reverence. The universe recognizes its origin. John sees the dragon being brought before the throne. The ancient serpent, the accuser, the deceiver, he does not speak, only writhes. All that was a lie is now dust. Divine fire engulfs him, and deception is consumed forever. Evil is not destroyed, it is unmasked. Its existence becomes untenable in the face of the all-revealing light. The nations that followed him see the truth. The power they believed they possessed is revealed to be empty. The glory they sought dissolves. The gold turns to dust. The throne of men falls before the throne of God, and in the fall there is silence, the same silence of the seventh seal. At that moment, John understands the essence of divine justice. The judgment is not a celestial court. It is a cosmic mirror. Everything that man has projected outside of himself returns. The hatred he unleashed, the love he denied, the forgiveness he withheld, everything returns, purified or corroded, depending on the nature that generated it. The Lamb's voice echoes, "Behold, I make all things new." The sound of these words vibrates through the cosmos. Creation responds. The dead awaken not only in body, but in consciousness. Each being perceives what has always been before them. That judgment is the encounter between man and his truth. The purifying fire covers the horizon. It is living light, not destruction. The shadows flee, the echoes of sin disintegrate. Those who loved the truth rise like golden flames. Those who denied it are extinguished, consumed by the emptiness they chose. The cosmic scales shine with perfect equilibrium. There is no injustice in judgment because there is no partiality in it. The time for excuses is over. Now what remains is what is eternal. Each soul sees not only what it did, but what could have been. And that is the deepest pain, the weight of what was not lived, of the faith that could have flourished, of the goodness that was stifled. John gazes and weeps, not from fear but from understanding. Divine justice is absolute because it is love in its purest form. No tear was ignored, no pain was in vain. Everything was woven into a greater purpose, invisible to human eyes. Books close one by one, and silence returns. But now it's different. It's not the silence of fear, it's the silence of established truth. The voices cease because there is nothing more to say. Everything has been revealed, and in the center of the light the Lamb remains. His glory does not blind, it illuminates. The fire around his throne dances as life, not as destruction. And John understands. The apocalypse is the final act of mercy. It is the moment when God's love manifests itself as perfect justice. The sea, once turbulent, is now a mirror. The sky, once ablaze, now shines in peace. Angels guard the final book, sealing it with the seal of eternity. All creation breathes, not in fear, but in reverence. Joan feels the weight of time receding. He understands that judgment is not the end, but the moment when everything returns to its origin. The purified universe begins to pulsate again in harmony with its creator. The light you judged is also the light that heals, but the vision doesn't end there. There are still echoes, the distant sound of footsteps, the murmur of awakening souls, the flash of expanding consciousness. Judgment is the prelude to something new, and while the purifying fire still consumes the last vestige of darkness, John realizes the true judgment is not when God weighs man, but when man finally sees God. And in that instant, everything becomes clear, everything becomes pure, everything becomes one again. The silence after judgment is like the breathing of the universe itself. The fire has ceased, but the brilliance remains. The air is charged with a new energy, pure, uncontaminated. What was once chaos is now harmony. What was once destruction is now fertile ground. John contemplates the horizon and perceives the smoldering ashes of the old earth begin to move. From them, flowers of light sprout. The burnt ground transforms into a garden. Creation, once wounded, begins to sing again. The apocalypse ends where everything begins again. Among the ruins of what was, a new reality rises, not built by human hands, but shaped by divine will itself. The old order has passed. Time has lost its power. There is no more night, no shadow, no tear. The sun is no longer necessary because God himself is the light that illuminates the new world. John observes the firmament being remade. The stars, once witnesses to the judgment, now rearrange themselves like crowns in the sky. Space, once torn apart, is stitched together by eternity. Creation is reborn, and with it, humanity, purified, awakened, free. At the center of this new existence, a crystal river flows from the restored throne. Its waters dance in spirals of light, bringing life to all they touch. The trees on its banks blossom with fruit that shines like stars, and their leaves heal all the wounds of the old world. Nations walk side by side, without flags, without borders, without fear. There is no longer separation between peoples, between heaven and earth, between God and man. All is one body, all is unity. John sees the Lamb again. But now, he is no longer surrounded by fire and thunder, but by light and song. His eyes do not reflect judgment, but infinite compassion. In his hands, the marks of the cross shine like open portals. He walks among the redeemed, and wherever he goes, creation flourishes. Each step is a new dawn, each glance a new existence. The old world was consumed not by God's anger, but by his holiness. The ancient earth was not annihilated, it was transformed. The mountains align again, the seas become serene, and the wind blows as if the Spirit itself whispered, "All is restored." Liberated souls gather before the throne. There is no more guilt, no more fear. Voices unite in a song never heard before, a song of redemption, not defeat, of hope, not destruction. The melody echoes through the cosmos, rekindling galaxies, awakening sleeping stars. It is the sound of life, beginning anew. John understands that Revelation was never about the end. It was about the return to the origin, to purity, to the first love between Creator and creation. Death did not win. Evil did not triumph. All that seemed like ruin was merely the cocoon of eternity about to be born. The ashes covering the ground begin to rise in the form of light. They are transformed memories, pain converted into wisdom. Every tear shed in the old world now transforms into a luminous pearl in the new. Nothing was in vain, not the suffering, not the waiting, not the faith. Everything was raw material for the new creation. The holy city descends from on high, the New Jerusalem. It shines like crystal under the eternal sun. Its streets are transparent as the sea, and its gates are made of a single living stone, shaped by the very divine presence. Walls are not barriers, but testimonies. Engraved upon them are the names of those who resisted, those who believed, those who did not give up even when the night seemed endless. Inside, there is no temple, because God himself is the temple. The Lamb is the lamp, and his light is the beacon of all existence. The shadows have fled forever. Time no longer counts the hours. Now it is eternity in motion. Joan feels the ground pulsating beneath his feet. The new world is alive. The soil breathes, the waters sing, the winds carry the sound of freedom. It is Eden restored, not a copy of the first, but a full, mature version, purified by the fire of revelation. Humanity, once enslaved by death, now walks hand in hand with eternity. And then John sees faces that are familiar and unfamiliar, united by the same light. Children who were never born, old people who had already passed away, martyrs, the righteous, and even those who once doubted but surrendered to the truth. They are all there, before the glory that does not blind but embraces. The heavens resound with a new promise. The voice of the Lamb echoes over the restored universe. Behold, I make all things new. The words are not merely sound, they are creation in action. Each syllable generates life. Each sound raises mountains. Each breath rekindles worlds. The entire cosmos vibrates with this declaration. Eternity dawns. There is no more pain. The past is merely purified memory. The future is endless light. Souls move freely, and love, true love, governs all. John understands. The apocalypse did not destroy the world. It only destroyed the veil that separated it from God. What the fire burned was the lie, not creation. The restored throne shines in the heart of the new land. From it emanates a presence that fills everything. No sound is dissonant, no tear falls in vain. The time of war is over. Peace is no longer a promise, it is substance. The ashes of the old world, now shining, become the sacred ground where eternity flourishes. Each petal that blooms carries within it the memory of redeemed pain. The wounds of the past have transformed into portals of light. Humanity, once bowed under the weight of sin, now rises as a living priesthood. John sees the horizon. There is no end, only expansion. Light stretches beyond what the mind can conceive. Galaxies dance like flames, and the entire universe sings in unison. Creation no longer fears the Creator. It recognizes itself in Him. The sound of laughter echoes across the new land. Children run among luminous rivers. Men and women peacefully rebuild what was once ruin. Animals live together in harmony. The lion rests beside the lamb, and the wind carries the scent of eternity. Death has been conquered, the last enemy has fallen, and where there were once graves, now there are gardens. The stones engraved with sorrow have become monuments of faith. What was once the end has been transformed into a testament. The Spirit breathes again upon creation, not as a warning, but as a blessing. "It is finished," says the voice. But now these words do not announce closure. They announce fullness. All that needed to be revealed has been shown. All that needed to die has died. All that was temporary has vanished. John feels the heart of eternity pulsing like a sun within him. He realizes that the revelation doesn't end there, because the apocalypse is not an end point. It is the first dawn of a new divine cycle. The end of days is actually the beginning of eternal days. Creation, now free from the burden of corruption, lives in harmony with the Creator. There are no more unanswered prayers, nor unfulfilled promises. Everything is answered, everything is communion, and John understands in his spirit that the true mystery of the apocalypse is not terror, but hope. It is not punishment, but restoration. The fire that burned the world was the same that purified it. The tears that fell were not of despair, but of rebirth. The universe awakens to a new era. Time is no longer a countdown, but a continuous song. The constellations align in sacred forms. Space bends in reverence to eternity. Everything vibrates in harmony with the sound of the divine presence. What was once called the end times is now the time of fullness. The revelation is complete. The mystery has been deciphered, the prophecy fulfilled, and what remains is only light, a light that never goes out, because it does not come from the sun, but from the very heart of God. Ashes bloom, the throne shines, eternity dawns. And the final voice echoes over all creation. Let anyone who is thirsty come, let anyone who wishes take the free gift of the water of life. And the universe responds as one being, Amen. What if the judgment wasn't tomorrow, but now? What if the sound of trumpets echoed this instant, cutting through the world's silence, revealing what lies hidden within each soul? Cities would continue bustling, lights would remain on, but time would stop. No clock would mark the next hour. No heart would continue beating in the same way, because before the book of life, every mask falls, every illusion dissolves. Only what is true remains, what we were, what we did, what we believe. The question isn't whether the end will come. The question is, when he comes, what will be found in you? Will there be light or shadow, faith or indifference, repentance or pride. The apocalypse is not a distant tale, it is the mirror of human consciousness. The final judgment does not begin in heaven, it begins within the heart, and every choice made today writes a line in this eternal book. Every forgiveness denied, every word spoken with venom, every gesture of love forgotten, all is recorded in the invisible ink of destiny. John saw the books being opened, not only the great book of life, but the records of every soul, like rivers of memory flowing before the throne. Human actions, secret intentions, the deepest thoughts, nothing escapes divine truth. And in that instant the entire universe understands there is no escaping what we once were. But there is hope, because God's justice is not vengeance, it is restoration. The Lamb does not judge to condemn, he judges to purify. The fire that consumes is the same fire that illuminates. Judgment is not the end of mercy, it is its culmination. Imagine the moment your name is called. The sound echoes into infinity. Absolute silence. The voices of angels cease, and then the book is opened, the pages move like sacred wind. What would you see there? Would you see faith or just fear? Would you see works or just words? Would you see love or just memories of a forgotten faith? Each soul written in the book of life is not remembered for its perfection, but for its surrender. Because God doesn't seek saints of marble, he seeks broken hearts that allowed themselves to be molded. The question echoes, if judgment came today, would your story be marked by faith or by silence? The sound of the white throne reverberates throughout creation. It is a sound that does not accuse, but reveals. It is the pure vibration of truth. Before it, there are no masks, no excuses, no justifications. Only the exact reflection of what the human heart has been. All of humanity, from kings to beggars, from prophets to skeptics, stands before the same brilliance. No crown, no throne, no earthly glory can protect anyone from the all-seeing gaze. It is the gaze that penetrates bones and souls, that separates the false from the eternal. John heard the sea return the dead, the ground opened, the heavens lit up. All appeared before the Lamb, and what he saw was not terror, it was justice, a justice so pure that even evil bowed before it. But the mystery of judgment lies not in condemnation, it lies in the mercy that survives even the fire. Because while there is life, there is choice, and while there is choice, there is redemption. The apocalypse is the final call, not a call to fear, but to awaken, to abandon spiritual slumber and see reality. Time is running out. Not clock time, the time of grace. With each day lived without purpose, the scroll of existence unrolls. Every action is a word, every thought a letter, every decision a seal that opens. And when the last seal is broken, what will it reveal about you? The trumpets of heaven don't just sound at the end, they already resonate within you. They are the echoes of conscience, reminding you that nothing is forgotten, but everything can be forgiven. The apocalypse isn't about destruction, it's about revelation. It doesn't speak of a distant God, but of a God who still calls, still waits, still desires to restore. There is one last instant, one last heartbeat, before the throne shines in its fullness. In that instant, each soul has a choice, between remaining in fear or walking towards the light, between pride and surrender, between doubt and faith. And if judgment came today, at this very moment, what would you see when you looked into your own soul? A story written by the ego or by the hands of hope? A hardened heart or a spirit willing to start over? The fire of judgment is inevitable, but what it consumes depends on what you carry. For those who believe, it purifies. For those who resist, it reveals emptiness. John's visions were clear. The burning of the earth is not punishment, it is purification. The tears of the righteous are not despair, they are seeds of eternity. Everything that has been contaminated will be restored. Everything that has been lost will be found again. But the key to this rebirth lies in your response, now. With every word you speak, a line is drawn. With every gesture, a page is written. With every regret, a stain is erased. There is no closed destiny. There is an open invitation. And perhaps in the end, the judgment will not be a court of law, but a mirror where God asks, "What did you do with the love I gave you?" This is the true saying. Love is the measure of all things. Its absence is hell. Its fullness is heaven. The celestial voices chant, "He who has ears to hear, let him hear." It is the last warning before eternal silence, the last call before the new dawn. The book of life is still being written, and the pages are open. Every beat of your heart is a chance to rewrite your story. So listen. Don't wait for the sound of trumpets to change. Don't wait for the heavens to open to believe. The apocalypse doesn't begin outside, it begins within. And perhaps the great revelation is this: the final judgment happens every day, in every choice, in every renunciation, in every act of faith. The end of days is not the extinguishing of the world. It is the awakening of the soul. And now, faced with this truth, answer yourself. If the book were opened before your eyes this instant, would your name be written in it? This is the question that echoes in the silence of the cosmos. A question that no human word can answer, only the heart. Because the throne is still standing, the fire still burns, and the voice still calls. But one day time will run out, and on that day, what will speak for you will not be your mouth, but your actions. And when the Lamb looks into your eyes and the book is opened, may he find there not the weight of guilt, but the trace of faith. The apocalypse is not the end of the world, it is the beginning of truth. And now she stands before you. If this message spoke to your spirit, let your light now, because this shows that there are still those who hear the call. Write to us. Comments. My name will be in the book of life, and join those who have chosen to remain in the light. And if you are not yet part of this journey, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. There are more revelations to come, and each new prophecy will be more profound than the last. The end is not the end, it is the beginning of the truth.